Hi everyone, BT Rider here. So it's been about a year since I posted anything, and some things have happened with the VTR. So the last you guys saw anything about the VTR, I believe we were putting on the Heel Tech quick shifter and the gear indicator, and I went out for a test ride and tuned the quick shifter. During that time, I was working for a retail place. It wasn't the most glamorous job in the world, but I ended up leaving that company and going to a different company to get screwed over again. In that process of realizing that I'm sick and tired of retail after working it for almost 10 years now, I am currently back in school and working a pretty simple retail job just to get me by while I get my degree. I haven't taken a class since 2012, 2013, so it's been a bit of a challenge going back all of a sudden and taking, some more advanced classes and trying to familiarize myself with how things work. So what happened to the VTR after the last video that I posted was the VTR needed to get tuned. The carbs needed new jets, it needed cleaned, and it needed to be tuned by someone who knew what they were doing. Because while I kind of at the time understood how these carburetors work, I wasn't really comfortable with doing it myself. I don't think I understood it enough to where I could do it myself and be perfectly fine with it. I really just didn't think I'd get the results that I wanted out of the VTR, so I took it to someone to do it. In the process of getting the VTR tuned and the carbs upgraded, we had a huge mechanical failure with the cam chain tensioners on the VTR. The cam chain tensioners do exactly what they say. They put tension on the chain that connects your crankshaft to your camshaft to keep the engine in time, to keep the valves and the pistons in time with each other so nothing shitty goes wrong. The rear cam chain tensioner on the VTR that was stock broke while we were tuning it and ultimately launched my valve into my piston head. I'll put a couple pictures up right now of what that looked like. We got extremely lucky that it pretty much just nicked the piston head and it was still reusable and we didn't completely grenade the engine. We did have to buy a new valve, get the valve machined into the head, which was kind of shitty. The engine got fully repaired, resumed the tuning with manual cam chain tensioners. So the ones that came stock with the bike were automatic. They kind of just knew how much tension needed to go on to the cam chain. The manual ones you have to set yourself, and so long as you keep them in tune all the time, they never fail. Now, after the couple months it took for the bike to get tuned and repaired and everything, I finally got it back just as winter began. Couldn't ride the bike, and over the winter I decided to buy new fairings, put the fairings on, installed the double bubble windscreen, put up a voltage meter on the bike. Basically the bike looked pretty nice, it looked alright. It was about as far as I wanted to go without getting like rear sets or upgrading the suspension or anything like that. Then springtime came, and over the winter I had not put fuel stabilizer into my gas tank, so the fuel kind of gummed up and clogged and dirtied a lot of the jets in the carburetor, which was fucking awesome considering I had just spent the money to tune it and hoping it would run well. Also, I don't think it was tuned quite as well as it could have been. On the first ride of this year, 2018, back in March, I believe, is when I took it out, I had a catastrophic failure with the stator, which set the wiring for the stator on fire while I was riding, and stayed on fire until I was home, and the fire was underneath my seat, and had to replace the entire under tray under my seat, get a new battery. I had to hardwire the stator in, because I lost the connector, and there was, with all the additional electronics on the bike, it couldn't handle having just a small metal connection. It had to be hardwired in. After a new stator was installed and hardwired in, the bike began to run okay. It still had issues with the carbs being a little gummed up, and I still had an exhaust leak from a stud that broke on the head of the rear cylinder. So ultimately there was still a lot of work that needed to be done on the bike, and I was kind of getting tired of it. It seemed like every time I made a few steps forward, I took a lot more steps backward, and the bike just wasn't very reliable, and I think it was starting to get past my point of comfort, and I couldn't keep up with it. I had this bike that I wanted to be able to ride a lot, and it seemed like no matter how much I did, I couldn't get what I wanted out of it. I think ultimately for a sport-oriented machine, I need something that's electronically fuel injected, not carbureted, needs to be a little bit more modern, and I have plans for something like that in the future. I ended up selling the VTR due to its unreliability and the amount of money it was draining out of my bank account, which already didn't have a whole lot to begin with due to the entire job fiasco and ridiculousness, and I got schooled. So the VTR is gone. I apologize to anybody that was interested in the VTR or wanted to see how it ended up, but it's gone. It belongs to a new owner now, someone that will hopefully take care of it better than I could. However, it doesn't mean the end for bikes on this channel. I do have a new motorcycle sitting in my garage right now, and we will be doing a lot of fun videos on that with some new camera equipment, and it's going to be an entirely new project in its own. I already have all the parts I need to do the project. It won't take a whole lot of time, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and it seems to be a bike that a lot of people are interested in nowadays, and I figured I'd finally get into the hype. So stay tuned for that. There'll be a video coming out very soon revealing it and walking you guys through it. I look forward to creating new content soon, and I really hope that you enjoy it. Till then, have a beautiful day.